How's it going? This is Sean from TightPoker.com, and today I'm going to be using the Hold'em Manager Replayer to talk about some of the hands that I played almost a year ago exactly. And for those of you that don't know my history, I started with depositing a very small amount, and we're talking like $200, and I climbed it using bankroll management methods where I always made sure I had at least 20 buy-ins for a level, and as I went up to 50, no limit, which is where the blinds are 25 cents, 50 cents, I made sure I actually had 30 buy-ins, and then when I moved up to 100 no limit, I think I was at 35, 37-ish buy-ins, and I'm going to be at 40 buy-ins when I move to 200 no limit, hopefully sooner rather than later, but I've been playing 100 no limit for a few months now pretty profitably, and it's going to be interesting to look back at some of these hands and go through them and see some of the good plays and some of the bad plays. So let's go through some of the better hands, and I'll talk about some of the HUD stats and where we are. So here, this is a 10 cent, 25 cent table, so otherwise known, I'm just going to call it 25 no limit. That means the maximum buy-in is $25 and the big blind 25 cents. And I'm on the cutoff here, and I make a raise here, and unfortunately it looks like I made a bad raise, and for whatever reason, I guess I didn't, this was before they had the automatic money reloader, so you didn't just automatically rebuy up to $25. So I was kind of short here. I only have $13.90. So we have someone call. I mean, we've got the small blind here, the big blind here, and then someone does what's called a limp, where they call, and then this guy min raises. So what we're looking to do is obviously raise, and we're raising by doing what's called a 3-bet, because I mean, this is the 1-bet, the big blind, the 2-bet is the raise, and the 3-bet is the re-raise. And 3-betting is typically at least 3 times the bet plus whatever's in the blinds, or you can just do 4, and that's usually a good amount. So in this case, what I really wanted to do is raise here to $2. That would have been a good amount. And so instead I raise only to $1.25. The button calls, and the limper in early position folds, and our original raiser calls. The flop is 6-6 jack, which is a fantastic flop for aces, because a hand like ace jack or king jack will play for stacks here, and you're only beat by a hand that has a 6, and it's very unlikely that someone would call a re-raise with any sort of 6 hand, like ace-6 suited, or, and if they have pocket 6s, that's just tremendously unlikely. So the original raiser checks, and it's time to c-bet, and we pot it. And I like this bet. It might be, some people might think it's a little too much. A bet anywhere between 350 would have been fine, but potting it's good too. You're multi-way, and you've got a shorty in here who's probably going to shove anyways. And again, anyone with kings, queens, any jack hand really might be playing for stacks at this level. When you get higher up, people learn to fold at that point, and that's when you exploit that tendency. So we have the dealer folds, and this guy here min raises us, and hopefully I just shove the rest in, which I do, and he calls. And so we'll show his cards, and look at that, he actually had 10 jack, and it looks like he hits 2 pair, but it's okay because I have 2 pair with the aces and 6s, and I take down a $30 pot. So those are aces played pretty well in late position. Okay, again, we're at 25 no limit here, and looks like we're again in late position. This is the dealer. Here's the cutoff, and I'm in the hijack with pocket 10s. Good hand to have in late position, kind of a creepy hand to have in early position, which you're really kind of only playing for set value in some situations. So let's see what happens. Looks like raised here to the nit. This guy's stats 5-5 over 42 hands, so that means he's super tight, but it's only 42 hands. We don't quite know where he's at. So there's some merit in 3-betting, but just calling behind and trying to hit a set is again a pretty good situation. It looks like that's what I do, and the person behind me does that. And so we hit the flop, and we've hit our set. So I know a lot of people in this situation would maybe check raise or slow play this, and this is the absolute worst flop to slow play. Uh, any 9 is probably getting it in here. You know, someone could be on a draw, someone could have top pair, someone could have overcards even. This person right here who originally raised could have queen's kings or aces. It's perfectly possible. So this is not something to slow play. And let's see what happens here at the flop. We get checked into and we min bet. That's, I can't believe. I should go back in time with a time machine and just hit myself straight across the face, because that's just a horrible, horrible bet. Definitely should have let out there for at least 66% of the pot. 75% would have been better. And fortunately enough, you know, I guess our little game here that we were trying to get at worked, where I show a little bit of weakness with a really bad bet. It's a fishy bet, and the person with the best position jumps all over that with a 225 bet, which is okay. It's really not too strong. Our original raiser folds, and I flat call, which I guess after posting that small bet is okay, because if I check raise after min betting, I'm just giving away the fact that I've got a monster. So a total brick comes, and I did technically lead out at the last pot, so I'm hoping that I either just get it in here, bet the pot, and sure enough I just check, and I check raise all in. So I think a good player would have recognized that I was really slow playing a set or even a made straight or something like that. But in the end, I'm playing 25 no limit, so mistakes like this are okay to make because everyone's learning at this point, in my opinion. Like, if you're playing 25 no limit, either you're just a recreational poker player, or maybe you've got some big aspirations like I did back then, but you're really learning because you have not played poker that much. So, of course, he calls, and he calls with 99 for the open-ended straight draw, and we're an 82% favorite, and we're good, luckily enough, with a full house, and we take it down. So we kind of lucked out there in terms of we played a set really poorly, especially on a wet flop, and so hopefully you can learn what I had to learn at 25 no limit, and that's, don't slow play hands, especially when you have a monster. I mean, the only hands I will slow play, maybe I'll check once at the flop, is like I flop the full house or the nut flush, something that just I'm so far ahead of everyone else. That's really the only time I'll ever slow play. And sometimes it'll be, villain dependent, but that's nothing you need to learn about until you get to some of the, upper lower stakes or medium stakes games. So I'm having a lot of fun here, actually, looking back at what was late February and March of 2008. I was just learning. A year later, fortunately, I'm in a much better place poker-wise, but I think this should be really beneficial for a lot of people playing 25 no limit and seeing some obvious mistakes. And I'm sure there's a lot of 25 no limit players that are saying, wow, I already know all this, and that's fine. You're just ahead of where I was at the time, and that's great, and I'll see you at the upper limit soon. So let's keep going. There's a lot of good stuff here. I've got kings on the big blind. We've got an under the gun limper, which is just an absolutely horrible move, no matter what cards you have. We have a cutoff limper, and in the big blind I min raise. And so for those of you that don't know, since you may have or may not have played this many hands at the micro limits, like anything at 10 no limit, 25 or 50 no limit even, if someone min raises out of the small blind or the big blind, they've got kings or aces. Like, universally, 100% of the time, guaranteed, they've got aces or kings. I've never seen it otherwise in any case ever, and I played, I don't know, 25,000 hands at 25 no limit and about 35,000 hands at 50 no limit. So that's a good amount of experience to be speaking from. So I make a fishy play here, and it's not one that I want you to make if you want to be a better poker player. I min raise with king, which is just terrible. And the under the gun limper raises to $4, and if you remember, he just limped in,